Alright, welcome back everybody to the Eric and Tom Show. Today we're getting started on our epoxy art piece. This is going in the bathroom that we're doing, and our choice of wood is 3/4 birch. It's got that smooth finish to it. It's super strong, so don't go cheap, getting the OSB. You're going to have some problems there. You want a flatter, nicer sheet. I know it's a little more money, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And what I want to show you right out the gate, we always use a digital level on something like this because we want to be, to the spec as humanly possible as we can get. So long view, very crucial to be as close to level as possible so that you don't end up with thin spots throughout your piece. So we got the middle covered, and we got all our ends covered all the way down. And then we even go a step further here. Grab the middle, grab the other corner as well. So that's what we're looking for. It takes a little bit of shim work going around there to get this, but very crucial, like I said. Another thing, once you got that part figured out, another thing we want to do is, another crucial step is the temperature in the room where you're pouring. So on average, depending on where you live, where you might be viewing, you could be in a totally different state. We're in Kentucky, so needless to say, it's getting wintertime around here, Tom. But we are stable back here with stable air, stable heat. And what I want to show you, I'm going to point over here at the foundation. Where we at there?
68.
68 degrees, 68.5. So what I want to show you with those walls pulling that kind of heat off, look at the piece. Look at the wood here. Okay, so we are hovering right at close to 72, right around there. Everything in the room, the casted resin, we're drawing 71.8. There's our art piece over there. It's our casted top. We're dealing with 71.4. So typically we want to be between 70 and 75 throughout this whole process of doing this epoxy tabletop resin. A little bit different than the casting resin. You still want to be in the same zone, 70 to 75, no matter where you live. That's ideally what you're shooting for. But getting started, very simple here on the front part. Got my gloves sitting out here ready to go. We are going to, depending on everybody's project's different. Ours is going to be, the base coat is going to be complete jet black. The color is actually called limousine leather. So we're going to be putting down Bear Marquee, what we're using. If you use Sherwin-Williams, if you use PPG, whatever you use, just make sure it's a high end. So Sherwin-Williams has some great paints as well. So do other manufacturers. Just make sure it's not a cheap. You don't want a watery paint down here. You want a thick paint. So the object is not only to get the color correct for the base coat, because the epoxy and the pigments we're using are translucent, which is a 50-50 ratio. So you can see in behind it, it's just the clarity is blocked a little bit, but you could definitely tell if my hand was in behind it, that's a 50-50. Then you got the solid where you can't see through it all, and then you got transparent where you can see all the way through and make out everything. So ours is a 50-50. So because it's a 50-50, that black's going to go down, and if we didn't have any black paint down here to absorb, what's going to happen is we could end up seeing wood grain through our piece. We could actually see the table. So we want this to be thick, solid, and full, but we want the depth perception. We want the illusion of this sucker. You're looking at it and you're able to see what you think is all the way down there, a lot deeper than what we're actually pouring. So that's the whole point behind that. So with the limousine leather, we're going to go ahead and apply our first base coat on here. We're going to do it just like a wall. We're going to go with the grain all the way up. get all this section done, then we're gonna come back and start working our way over to the other side. It's gonna be a really, really fun piece, really cool piece. So just like this, we're gonna start mopping her right on out. And again, a couple of things we are doing here. We're dropping that black base coat for our pigment, for our resin, and on top of that, we are clogging this wood for breathing. All right, so coat one is done. And see, as a whole, as you're looking at it, it all looks covered, it all looks good. This is what I want to show you. This is what you're going to miss. See that right there? We've got that little mist, but it ain't just the raw wood. There's little, right here's one, right here's one. There's little bitty divots, little bitty pinholes down in there, just from the wood being porous. And that is what is not clogged all the way 100%. So that is the whole reason. Now that we've done all this, coat one this way, now we're going to change our direction and we're going to do it short side against the grain. Then we're going to come back with a final third coat and we're going to mop this on one more time this direction. Then we shouldn't have any of these little spots like this left. It's just going to help for whenever we pour this seal coat out. It's going to help alleviate a boatload of bubbles. In a piece this size, we do not want all those. It's just going to make for a really smooth seal coat and flood coat on top of this piece. Okay, so that's it. Coat three's a wrap. It's just about dry, ready for the next step. So we want y'all to tune in for that. It's going to be the epoxy. We're going to go on here with the metallic black, and we're going to get going with this art piece. I know this is kind of a boring step, but nevertheless, check it out. It's much needed. This is a very, very crucial step, not to just paint your canvas whatever color it is, but to actually clog everything and minimize all the bubbles that are going to try to cause you problems in that flood coat. So we're happy, we're ready. So if you're watching this, be sure check out the next one. This is part one. We're coming out with part two. It's going to be our mixing process, pouring out that black metallic, getting that base coat to look really rich, full, and very deceptive. And then we'll move right into the colors and we'll get this guy wrapped up.